to the Kepler Conference Online Research Forums. I'm Courtney Roberts, and this is a very special Gauquelin Day presentation. And we're really glad to have you all in here. We've dedicated this time to exploring the Gauquelins, their research, some of their findings, and more importantly, practical uses for their findings. They just don't get used enough. So without any further ado, I'm going to go to my screen share and my PowerPoint presentation. All right, so Gauquelin Day, introduction to the Gauquelins and the Gauquelin sectors. We're going to start with Michel. Michel Gauquelin was born in 1928. And I want to start with a quote actually from an obituary written for him by Roger Elliott. And he says, Michel Gauquelin was the best friend that modern astrology could have. Sympathetic to our ideas, but never credulous, he unearthed a truth from the layers of guesswork, anecdote, and hand-me-down rules that form the astrological tradition. And I think that's putting it really well. Guesswork, anecdote, and hand-me-down rules. If there's one point that I really want to emphasize today, it's that I think we can do a lot better than that. And he certainly blazed a trail for us. By some, he was seen as a cold rationalist out to destroy our creed. And few practicing astrologers yet use the Gauquelin sectors in their work. That's another point that we really want to, get our heads around today. Is why don't people use this stuff? To others, especially in Britain and latterly America, he became an endlessly helpful researcher, showing us how the scientific method could aid, not hinder, our work as astrologers. And certainly that's something that you hear a lot as people speak about him, is that he was friendly, he was open-minded, he was interested in people's questions, interested in their criticism. He was actually a very helpful researcher, trying to show us how the scientific method could aid and not hinder our work as astrologers. And I think we want to continue in that spirit. This is the chart of Michel Gauquelin, and seeing as it comes from the hand of, maybe the greatest data collector ever, we're going to assume it's pretty correct. And first thing I want to point out is that Michel was a Scorpio, with the Sun in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, conjunct the IC, and we're going to see these very Scorpio themes throughout his life. A prodigious researcher who, fastened on to the things that he loved with this passionate, dogged intensity, and he brought that to everything that he did. And it became a life or death matter for him. In fact, throughout the course of his life, he was absolutely beleaguered by critics. Nobody liked what he found. First and foremost, the diehard skeptical materialists fought him tooth and nail, and not always fairly. But at the same time, the astrologers were less than enthused with his findings because they didn't necessarily accord with tradition. So he really got it from all sides. Fortunately, while he wasn't exactly born with Mars in the Gauquelin sector, it's a little bit out of range, but not entirely. He does have a Mars that's real close to the Gauquelin sector, and in fact, he was maybe not quite a champion athlete, but quite an accomplished athlete in his own right. He was a passionate tennis player, and he went at tennis with the same intensity that he went at the research. He was, in his youth, for I think many years, ranked always in the top 50 in France, which is quite an accomplishment as well. So we had that fighting spirit, and in keeping with that Scorpio theme that we're going to see throughout his life, he did eventually commit suicide, which is a tough subject to talk about, and this came at a time when the Gauquelin results were being called into question on a point of bias. And people were charging that he only got the results because of a selection bias and how he chose the data that he included in his samples. Now, over time, that problem got sorted out in some really ingenious ways, and I'm going to take a look at that here shortly. But it was in the midst of that, at the height of that, after he divorced, that he took his own life. And I think we have to stand back and look at that very seriously, because, you know, astrological research can be really hard, and people can be very hard on researchers when they don't find what other people want. And he was certainly a case in point. And at the same time, I think it makes it even more imperative for us to take his work very seriously, because he not only lived for this research, he died for it. And I think we want to make sure that he didn't die in vain. There's just an awful lot of good material here, and when it languishes and people just keep recycling traditions without really taking a closer look at what he did, that's a tremendous waste.